Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Dreams podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer and I am your co-host. Today our guest is Marcie Peters. Marcie is America's whole life coach who helps high achievers age backwards. A holistic nutritionist and speaker, Marcie graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. She is the founder of the Health and Happiness Guide and Transform Your Health World Summit, the host of Transformation TV, is a featured speaker for groups of hundreds and thousands, and has appeared on television. She has shared the virtual stage with John Assaraf, David Wolfe, Dr. Mike Hyman, Dr. David Perlmutter, and many other thought leaders and world changers. Marcie's line of healthy H2Go nutrition is being sold online in healthy venues. Marcie offers VIP and group coaching programs, and her work has affected thousands of people worldwide. Hello, Marcie. How are you?
Hi, Noah. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have a beautiful, beautiful day here in northern New Jersey, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Nice.
So, Marcie, tell us about yourself and why you do what you do.
Well, that's a great question, Noah. And quite simply, I do what I do because I know what it's like to be in a body that feels like a prison. I know what it's like to have your life stripped away, to go from a high-achieving corporate up-and-coming executive to someone who, quite frankly, I was contemplating suicide at one point because things got so bad. And what happened was in my early 20s, I got really, really sick. Unexplainably sick. I was dealing with a lot of work pressures and pressures that I was putting on myself and various things in my life. And doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I did the doctor after doctor thing, thinking they must have the answers. They must know how to solve the problem as to why I'm in constant pain and so fatigued that I couldn't think straight. And I felt like I was in a black hole. And they didn't have answers. They said, whatever is going on with you is incurable. And the best you can hope for is to manage your symptoms. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a life that I want to live. And I know that a lot of people listening are in this situation. This is actually something that happens quite a bit where, if you're not getting the right help and you're not looking in the right places, then nothing will change. And in fact, hope can start to deteriorate. And that's what happened with every doctor that I went to. I lost my resolve. I lost my hope that I could get better. And I tried their way, which was pharmaceuticals, which actually only aggravated the problem and was never addressing the root cause of the problem. And I can go into what that was if you want later. But in the end, I was sick for 16 years. And so I do what I do, Noah, because I know that no one has to be sick for 16 years like I was. My poor health cost me my quality of life. It cost me my livelihood. I lost job after job. The medical bills piled up. I had a bankruptcy. I was in no shape to be in a relationship, so I was completely on my own. No one understood me, so I isolated myself because it was easier than trying to explain it, and I didn't have the energy to really leave the house most days anyway. And so I remember laying in bed one day. I was in pain from my scalp to my big toe, even my eyelashes hurt, and I was tired of putting on a brave face after losing yet another job. I was alone and frightened and really wishing I could die and really considering that as an option. And not because I'm a quitter, because I really just didn't see how I was going to make it through. And the story has a happy ending. I'm here. I was able to turn things around. And now I'm passionate about helping others. And that is my life's work.
Marcie, so then I know everybody's interested already. So how did you turn your life around?
Good question. So I did it with a combination of nutrition, and I needed to cut out a long list of things that were causing me problems in terms of food, which I did. There was also a sleep issue where I was keeping myself up. I would get my second wind late at night, 11:30, that's actually a sign of adrenal fatigue. And I was, in fact, in stage 4 adrenal fatigue. I had severe degenerative arthritis in my knees, which was due to, in large part, to the foods that I was eating, which was creating an autoimmune type response. In fact, I remember going to one orthopedic doctor after the next, and one of them said, "I'm surprised you walked in here and you're not in a wheelchair." And another one walked into the room and said, I have the wrong patient, I'm sorry. And he came back a few minutes later with a sheepish look on his face and said, these are your x-rays. He was holding some x-rays like, this is you. These are 70-year-old knees. And so it was a combination of nutrition, sleep, getting the right amount of exercise. I was over-exercising for a long, long time. I started doing it in my teens because it felt so good, and I was doing too much of it, actually. But it's also important not to do too little. And then mindset was huge. And then, of course, lots of holistic, natural types of supplements and different things like that. But honestly, the foundation, which is what I help my clients with, and then the mindset, those two together are really, really important, and it made all the difference for me.
So to recap, you had to change your nutrition, you had to change your sleeping habits, and you had to change how you exercised on top of changing your mindset.
Exactly.
Great. Now, I know that you work with high achievers who want to age backwards. What does that mean to you, and why that niche? Why aging backwards, and why high achievers?
Okay. So my thing is aging backward because I'm 42 now, soon to be 43. And recently in the last week, I got guessed at 25, 32, 33, 28. So people are always astounded when they find out my age. But I'll tell you, in my 20s and 30s, I did not feel good. I did not feel useful. I didn't look great. I was puffy. I was overweight. I was really struggling. And so I know that life can get better and better. And that's what age backward is to me. It's not about looks, although that comes with it. It's about this internal fire, this internal light that you have inside where you're just so excited for life that you want to share with the world, how you what you stand for and who you are, and be a service to others and live your passion and explore new things. There's so much to life that when you're having poor health, you don't have access to. And so aging backward is a philosophy, it's a way of life, it's a way of expressing your life in your light. And I want everyone to be able to have the experience I've had, which is getting better with age. You don't have to go through 16 years of poor health, and it's possible, if you're listening, that you are struggling with your health, but no matter where you are, even if you're just at a place where things are okay, they can get better and better with every passing day and every passing year.
I tell my patients regularly that there's no reason why you can't be healthier 5 years from now than you are right today.
Yeah, and even in a few months, in 6 months, it's a progression, but, every little thing that you do can be working towards this amazing life, and stopping right now and recognizing everything that is already amazing. That's part of it.
Right. And I encourage those listening to check out Marcie's website, because she's very candid and puts up pictures before 29 years old versus 42 years old, 30 years old versus 40 years old. And it's amazing what changing your mindset, changing how you eat, changing your health can do for your physical and internal well-being. Absolutely amazing.
I'll be honest and say I looked really bad when I was a lot younger. And, here's the thing. Our body is a reflection of our mindset and our behaviors and how we're treating it. So often people start with the body and try to, figure out what's wrong with it from there. But actually, it starts on the inside, and then the body is just a reflection of that.
Absolutely. Healing comes from inside and out. There's no doubt about it. Now, what is your basis for being able to make change and have transformation? Because it's so hard for people to make positive steps and positive changes, and that's usually the barrier, taking the first step or moving forward. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's two things that I really like to focus on when it comes to change and transformation. And change and transformation is my thing. It's what I help people with. So the two things are, first, personal responsibility. This really resonates with me because when I was going to all of those doctors, I really expected them to fix me as if it was their responsibility. And the truth is, we are each our own responsibility. No one else is responsible for you. And this is good news. This is not something to be upset about. This is something to celebrate, something that empowers you, that you get to decide your own life. And if you're dealing with circumstances that you don't like, you can always change your mindset. You may not always be able to change the circumstances right away, and certainly, in a lot of cases you can, but you always have a choice over how you approach a situation, what your attitude is, what your beliefs, your perceptions, your thoughts, what you're bringing to the table. So personal responsibility is absolutely huge. And when I got this, it was life-changing. I was really in a victim state, and I was really expecting other people to fix me, or a magic pill is actually what I was looking for, that the doctors would give me something and say, hey, take this, and then, and then it solves all my problems. I was not in personal responsibility. In fact, I was a complete victim. So that's the first place to start, is recognizing that you get to be responsible for the experience of your life. Whatever you're experiencing, it gets to be your responsibility. And then the second part of this is, what is your vision or your big why? Why do you want to make change? Why do you want to be healthier? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to be in a loving relationship? What is important for you? And some of those things that I mentioned could be your big why, so that you can feel confident in your body by losing weight and being stronger and healthier, so that you can live a full and rewarding life, so you can start your own business, so that you can let your light shine and get clear on what that means to you, so that you can have that loving relationship and come to that relationship as a whole person, not as someone who needs to be rescued or saved. So what is your big why? What is motivating you? And what is that vision? What are you going towards? You need a roadmap so that you know where you are now, but where do you want to go, and getting clear on that.
What are your tips for helping people find what their big why is?
Well, that's where, sometimes it's really helpful to work with a coach, and to, really get clear on that in that way. But you can also start to journal. You can start to just meditate or be present with yourself and think about your future, and what does that future look like, and what do you want it to look like? What are the feelings associated with it? What are the experiences that you'll be having? How do you see yourself? What are you able to do? Who are you? What are your values? What do you represent? What do you stand for? And so asking yourself some of these questions and really allowing yourself to be in a place of introspection. And like I said, journaling is a great tool. And then working with a coach is really, really helpful too.
That's extremely, extremely well said. Now we're talking about change, transformation, and aging backwards. What are your 6 principles of empowerment to age backwards?
Yeah, so there's 6 ways that I have found that are really instrumental, and they may not be the only ways, but I really believe that these 6 things are a powerful piece of the puzzle. And the first thing is choice. So I talked about choice a little bit earlier with personal responsibility. And here's a good takeaway. What you can ask yourself in any situation is simply, what meaning will I give this? What meaning will I give this situation, this experience, this interaction? Anytime something happens, there's a stimulus, and you get to choose. If you're aware and open to choosing, you get to choose what meaning you give it. So we all create these stories. Something happens, someone doesn't call when they say, and we can easily create a story around how they don't care about us, or important to them, or whatever that story is and we usually have our defaults, right? These patterns that we go to, whether it's rejection or abandonment or victim or whatever it is for you. And that's part of what a coach can help you get clear on. So looking at what meaning will I choose to give it? And a lot of times it has nothing to do with you, but we get wrapped up in the story. So first thing is choice, choosing your response, choosing your thoughts, choosing your beliefs, getting clear on your patterns so that you can create new patterns, choosing your interpretation. I'll tell you, Noah, I had an interpretation for a long time about my father and how he treated me growing up, and, he didn't give me the attention I needed and didn't love me, and there was this big story I had around that, and that was my interpretation. It wasn't true. There's no such thing as objective truth, because we all bring our own experiences and agendas to anything that happens in life. And so when you can start to take personal responsibility for what happened, and recognize that you're bringing your own stuff to every situation, then that can really be a powerful, empowering type of thing. So when I let go of the story that my father abused me and mistreated me and all of these other things, yes, he lost his temper a few times. He was doing the best he can, and I'm not making excuses for those times he lost his temper, but I get to choose my interpretation. I get to decide I was abused, or I was just someone that he could act out his story with, and not carry that story around, because it was not empowering me, and it was not helping the relationship I was trying to have with him either. So that's number one, is choice. And then the second thing is believing in yourself. So often it's easy to go around and not really be a great supporter of yourself when we don't even realize we're doing this. So I know loving yourself sounds really cliche, but it is a foundational piece to love and accept yourself, right? Because if you're not loving, accepting, and believing in yourself, it's going to be really hard for other people to either, and you're not going to have the experience of life that you want. So repatterning yourself so that you can be your own biggest supporter and your own best friend. And working with a coach is really helpful in that area too. The third thing is focus and awareness. So creating awareness so that you're open to learning, which might also be phrased as curiosity, so that when something happens, you can use it as a learning experience. You have an interaction with someone, it doesn't come across or happen the way that you expected it to, and you can create learning or awareness about your patterns and your beliefs and different things like that. And then you can focus on whatever you choose to focus on. So here's an example. Right now I'm running Transform Your Health Summit, which is a big online event. It's free during a certain time period. And I have all these people who are writing in, thank you so much. This is changing my life. This information is, just what I need to hear, the stories from all of your speakers and the tips and strategies. And then I have another group of people who are emailing me saying, well, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And why is it set up like this? It's the same event, right? It's the same stimulus. And people are choosing where they want to place their focus. That is a choice. This is not a concrete event, that is objective. It's very subjective because people are taking from it what they will. So you get to choose your focus, and where you place your focus determines the experience of your life. Where you place your focus determines the experience of your life. So you can choose to be dissatisfied with something, or you can choose to take the good points and be satisfied with it, or just appreciate those good points. It's your choice. The fourth thing is you want to pair inspired action with consistency. So when you're trying to make a change, you want the strategies and your intuition to provide that action. So it does require action and consistency, because action alone won't make any changes. If you're just doing something once or twice when it comes to eating or health or exercising or whatever it is, it's not going to make much of a splash. But if you compare that with consistency, bring consistency into the picture too, so that 80-90% of the time, it doesn't even have to be 100 to make a difference, but most of the time you're consistent, and then you'll start to see a difference. We have 2 more points. The 5th one is bliss and purpose. So that is really getting in touch with the things that light you up and what is your life purpose. So the things that light you up, could be anything that you enjoy. For me, I love rock climbing. I love stand-up paddleboarding. I love adventure-y stuff like skydiving and paragliding and trapezing and, different things like that. And I like using my body in a physical or athletic pursuit. And I like using my mind too, and I love learning. So whatever it is that light you up, that bring you joy and happiness, connect with those things, and at the same time get clear on what your life purpose is, and sometimes it's one and the same. And the last one is trust and surrender. So it's not always about action. Action is really important, as is consistency, but once you make the action, you can continue taking the action, but trusting that you've planted the flower, and it won't grow tomorrow or next week, but it will grow. You've placed your order in the divine kitchen. It's being prepared. You don't have to run into the kitchen and say, where is it? It will be brought out when it's ready. So trusting has been a huge, huge lesson for me personally, because I'm an action person. I'm a type A. I'm a high achiever, which is why I like working with high achievers as well. People who are really ready and know what they want and just need guidance getting there. And so trust is part of the process. Enjoy the journey and surrender to the journey. Now, surrender doesn't mean that you give up or stop taking action. It means hand off anything that you can hand off. And for me, I believe in a divine source. I believe that I have guidance from a higher power, whether you want to call it God or whatever. But I believe that is there and available to me and to anyone. And so I will actually surrender and hand off the things that are causing me distress or anxiety or not empowering me. I'll take my action, I will be consistent, and then I will just trust and surrender.
That's sheer brilliance. I suggest all the listeners to go back and to listen to that over and over again, because I know that I'm going to. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Now, Marcie, I'm going to ask you a question, but it's already, in my mind, been made pretty obvious. What makes you different from other health practitioners?
Well, thanks for asking. There's a few things. I understand the mental strength that it takes to make change and to go through transformation. I understand the fears and the worries and the things that you don't want to tell anyone else. And I understand because I've been there. I understand the gremlins in your head. And when I have my clients that join me, they have me on their team. I'm a combination nutritionist and psychologist, and working with me is like hopping into a time machine. Instead of 16 years, or sometimes people come to me when they've been sick for 2 or 5 or 10 or 18 years, we can turn that into a matter of weeks and months. I have one client who came to me after 18 years of being chronically ill, and she was diagnosed with the same thing I was, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, which means the doctors have no earthly idea of what is going on inside of you, and they give you a label because it makes them feel better, and sometimes it makes the patient feel better too. And and her testimonial is on my website, but within 1 month, 50% of her symptoms were gone. And this is someone who had worked with doctors, naturopathic doctors, psychologists, chiropractor, you name it. So the whole gamut. And And so 50% better after a month, and she's now 80% better. She's out walking for 45 minutes, and she was someone who really couldn't do much physical exercise. She's lost weight. She hasn't been able to work this whole time, and now she's looking at getting back into acting and producing, which is her calling and her passion. Her relationship with her boyfriend is better. Just everything has improved. So I want to give people that time machine. There is no magic pill, let's be honest. There isn't something that you can do once that will change everything forever, except perhaps believing in yourself. That's important. But having that consistency and making those changes will turn it into weeks and months instead of years. And so that's what makes me different from other people. And that 16-year journey, which I now consider a blessing, has made me incredibly passionate to share this with other people. And I know it's possible. I've seen it time and time and time again with my clients where they can turn things around, and things that seemed permanent or incurable or overwhelming or whatever it is they're dealing with, it's so possible to turn it around.
I know there's some people listening that have fibromyalgia or know somebody that has fibromyalgia. Could you give us a mini blueprint on how to attack that to help reduce that discomfort and pain that accompanies fibromyalgia?
The first thing you want to do if you have been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, which I do consider fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue autoimmune, is to get off gluten. Change your diet, get rid of those inflammatory foods that are keeping your system in an uproar and don't allow you to heal. The body is set up to heal, and it will, but you have to give it the environment to be able to. If you're constantly barraging it with toxins, then it can't do its job. So first things first, get on an anti-inflammatory diet. And that's easier said than done, right? I mean, that's something that I actually worked towards for years. And I could have sped up my journey by working with a health coach, which I didn't find, until years later. But it would have been amazing to have at the beginning, because that's a huge change right there. Go to sleep early. Be asleep by 10 every night and let yourself sleep until you're slept out in the morning. Try, if you can, if your lifestyle allows for it, don't set an alarm clock. Let yourself wake up when you're ready. And if you need to go to bed earlier, do that. So sleep is incredibly important. So getting rid of the inflammatory foods, allowing that restoration to happen. Sleep is your number one healing agent, and your second healing agent, which also needs to be part of the equation, is really that mindset. Again, what are you choosing to focus on? Are you choosing to focus on things that aren't working for you, things that aren't happening for you, or all that you do have to be grateful for? And every last one of us have a whole list of things that we can appreciate and be grateful for. And then getting the right amount of exercise and surrounding yourself with people who are also making good decisions for their health and are also moving in the same direction with you, if at all possible. And being that leader, if you're around people who aren't doing that, you can lead by example. You can lead by making those choices and being clear on what you stand for and who you are, and regardless of what they're doing. So there's a couple of choices there. Bring in new people who are on the same path, and then inspire those who are not by setting an example. And then the most powerful thing that anyone can do is find a coach. I have several coaches myself. I didn't used to be someone who had that, and I wasn't doing well in all aspects of my life, including my career and my finances. And now with that support, I have jumped up into someone who is living and being the person that I really wanted to be and could be.
The value of a coach and a mentor, accountability groups and mastermind groups can never be understated. They're so crucial.
So crucial.
Marcie, tell listeners how they can get in touch with you, or if someone wanted to contact you directly, what's the best way?
There's a few different ways. My summit is going on right now. It's transformhealthsummit.com. And then I have a group program starting. So when I work with some people one-on-one, I've been doing this for a while. I'm not inexpensive. I'll just say that right now because I'm at a place in my career where I've put in the time. But this group program is a really, really affordable way to get a kickstart and take those first steps. It's a 40-day, I call it the 40-day Miracle Age Backward program. It starts in November, and you can go to agebackward.com for that. So Transform Health Summit, agebackward.com, and then my last website is the Health and Happiness Guide.com, and that's where I have recipes and resources and a free gift and different things like that.
Any last words, Marcie?
Well, I just want everyone to know, you're here for a reason. It is no coincidence that you tuned in today, that you're part of Noah's community, and that you chose to take your valuable time to listen to this interview. And so I urge you to, first of all, take hope from it and know that whatever is going on for you, there is hope, there is possibility, infinite possibility. And secondly, get into action. Find one or two things that I said in this interview that resonated for you and put it into action. Don't just take it as great information that doesn't change your life. Allow it to be life-changing for you. And then lastly, I would love to have each one of you connect with me. I would love to have you as part of my community as well. And I know Noah is doing amazing things, and between the two of us, we got you covered.
You're right, Marcie. We are doing some amazing things, and we will have you covered. That's no doubt about that. Thank you, Marcie. We truly appreciate the time you've been giving us today. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer. This is Beyond Your Wildest Dreams podcast. And as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome.